Hello and welcome to the Penrith Experience podcast. The Supercoach Experience podcast. We are joined here for episode 172 of the Grand Final review. Timmy is here. He loved the game that much that he wanted to record a review for you guys. Timmy, how was it?
It was bloody fantastic, man. It was the best experience of my life. I went to the 2020 Grand Final. It was pissing down rain. We lost to the Storm. It was just a shit experience. Then we were lucky enough to win the next 2 years. Didn't go to those Grand Finals. Still enjoyed those experiences, but going to the Grand Final, beating that Broncos side that was that electric and that good in that fashion, to come from behind, fuck me, that was such an experience, man. Like, honestly, I haven't had kids, so I can say that was the best experience of my life.
Well, it was a good experience watching from home, and me, my brother, and my mates, we recorded the whole thing. We got a few snippets on Instagram if you want to have a look. But
bit of commentary.
Yeah, a bit of commentary. We were absolutely smashed, and a lot of dribble going on. We were going to record it, let it released as a whole podcast, but there's no way that I'm putting some stuff that was said online.
I was thinking, I was worried for you. I thought, look, once I knew you did, I was like, it's probably out there now, so I won't bother. But
no, that was...
I just know when a few boys have a drink, some people can say some things in different contexts. That
it was unlisted on YouTube, so it wasn't...
Oh, very well.
Yeah.
Good,
so.
good, smart...
Eyes Up Footy. Eyes Up Footy. And I'll tell you who plays Eyes Up Footy. The man.
Clezar, what a champion.
We'll get into it. Obviously, the Clive Churchill medal. There's a lot of chat.
Well, people want Ezra to have it. Yeah, Ezra was fantastic.
Oh, no way.
Oh, okay.
I think Cleary deservingly got the Clive Churchill.
Yeah.
We'll get into it, though. But firstly, I'm not a turncoat. I'm wearing this jersey because I'm not a jersey guy. I don't feel comfortable in a jersey.
You look fantastic, mate. You look like I'd probably chuck you in the centres at this point.
Yeah, let's just have a look. Like full angle.
Yeah, pretty fit. Game fit. That's actually that's just a loose jersey on me. So you're doing well, mate. You look like you might need some help getting it off or something once you're into the change room.
Well, the players actually wear their jerseys a lot tighter than this, so probably need a size smaller to be match ready for a game. But Penrith Panthers win 26-24 Grand Final. Firstly, the day. Grand Final experience. I haven't been to one since 2005, actually.
Oh, you went to that one?
I went to the 2005
How
Grand
old
Final.
were you, 3?
12?
Right.
So I like watching it at home. I really wanted to watch it at Panthers because I wanted to be there for the after party. But then seeing the Panthers players got there at like 2 a.m., I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have lasted that long.
You would have backdoored it by then for sure.
For
no
sure.
one knew.
I'm a backdoor guy.
Don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there. But the Penrith Panthers win. How was the day?
Oh, so good, man. We went with Mikey from obviously the Supercoach Experience. His mate Diamond. We had a great day. We went for the whole 3 games. We watched the first half of the State Cups from a pub, the locker room. Then we sort of went over to the second half and watched that. That was a pretty okay game to enjoy. But then the girls' game came on, and that was a bloody cracker. Got a $25 same game multi up, $3.25 pay.
It was looking pretty shaky up until the end as well.
Yeah, Upton needed her to score, and then she scored 2, which didn't need her to do. The other girl, one of the other girls I picked from the Titans, excuse me for not remembering her name at this point, but she scored 3. So she scored 3 in a losing side in a grand final, as well as Ezra Mam. Imagine having that bet on.
That would
3, like a trifecta into the other side winning. Yeah, you'd be retired and you'd probably buy the Panthers.
Yeah, probably.
For $1 bet, I reckon you'd be buying the Panthers.
Oh, $1 bet?
No, not really.
I think
maybe chuck 20 on it, you might be looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, man,
it looked like a massive day. Hot though.
It was hot-ish. Yeah, we were lucky. We got the shady side and we were up in a nice spot. I wasn't sitting in the same seats as Mikey and Diamond, so I was for the first couple of games, and then come grand final, they were sort of like a couple rows back and just over there, so it wasn't too bad. And I was surrounded by Broncos. It felt like there was at least, without exaggerating, 65% of the crowd were Broncos.
Yeah.
Then another 5% were randoms.
Yep.
There was like a few WARs, quite a few Newcastle for the Newcastle girls.
Yep.
A few bunnies, of course. And then, we were dominated. But
Yeah, interesting. So it's been a couple of weeks since you've been on the podcast. Obviously, you had a break from Supercoach, but you wanted to come back today to talk about the grand final. And I think everyone loves footy on this podcast, so why not review it and put it in place of the podcast this week? How's your break been? Been up to much?
Yeah, it's been good. It's
only been a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, it's only been a couple of weeks. I tried to assess whether I wanted to get into guitar, and I picked the guitar up and was like, nah, it's a bit hard. I'm not going to do that. So, yeah, I'm still struggling to find that new hobby, but just put my head down, get me job done, and, I'll find something in the off-season to keep me interested.
For sure. Okay, so let's get into the game. We'll start with the first half, and you've got some notes.
Take some game notes.
You've taken some game notes that you want to bring up that you thought were key moments. Firstly, I want to start with first half, let's say the first 20 minutes before the Mitch Kenny try. Thought Penrith had all the momentum, but then Billy Walters stole it back with that 40-20.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to be a defining moment, but I think for a long time I always said if Brisbane would win if they complete above 85%, and they just lost the ball following that set. Penrith went on to score. How was the feeling in the crowd? Like, do you think the Broncos gained back the momentum within that period?
Yeah, I mean, they were stoked. We were pretty super bummed. It was on the first play too that they went into touch with a bit of a skew pass that Arthur's sort of trying to catch, couldn't help but sort of go out. And then, we just went back on the charge from there. But, it felt like a big moment at the time, that 40-20. I was like, oh, my God.
It really did. It felt like it was a massive momentum shifter. But Penrith held strong. The try was there to Mitch Kenny. Their attack looked really clunky in the first half, but I think they looked the better side. But being up only 8-6 at halftime, it was probably in favour of the Broncos to come on a charge because they were the ones making the mistakes. But Penrith did all they could. I think they had a great first half. Yeah,
so I've got like some big moments here that I'll sort of try to rush past, and we can sort of touch on the bigger ones and talk on them.
Yep.
I thought one of the first bigger moments was when Liam Martin smashes Herbie, dislodges the ball, Panthers got the field position, and that's just prior to that 40-20 from Walters, and then obviously, as we just touched on, Arthurs goes into touch. There's a drop ball by Cobbo on the 10-metre line. Broncos are playing expensive footy for quite a fair bit, and there's a fair few like offloads, which is, I think, the footy they needed to play, but there's obviously a high error rate in that as well, which didn't really help them. They needed to sort of nail it, I guess. But the thing that shocked me is for not playing great footy, they played good footy while not being good, if that makes sense. They were good at not being good, so they were able to sort of just, rally, I guess, and sort of deal with like our onslaught, 'cause we were in their half for quite a fair bit. I think it was Panthers 20 minutes in, 17 tackles into the red zone, and Broncos only had one tackle in ours. So that's how dominant that first period was by then. Then I think that second 20 was when they sort of started to
just get a bit of momentum.
Yeah. So,
there was a few tackles early in that first half, so the first 20-25, where they didn't get to the kick, but they took the tackle about 5 to 10 metres out from their line. And I thought every time that happened, I said to my brother and my mates that were there at my house drinking beer, field position.
You were drinking ciders, mate. Don't try and man it up.
I was drinking ciders, but I said to them, field position. And I think we agreed, just you're better off holding the ball than kicking it dead. And I think that helped with them keeping the momentum, because every time Broncos got the ball, they were in their own half with the defensive line already set. Yeah,
a couple I think there was one that went dead, a few that we were able to catch, diffuse from them in goal that were quite, deep kicks that they just sort of didn't get too well. But I think, obviously that late charge by the Broncos and Flegler scoring, he was going nuts there. But he was like running decoys. He was involved in nearly every play before actually scoring that try. And then going in at 8-6, just go like out the back to get some beers where everyone was, behind the crowd sort of thing. The Broncos were in a good mood and the Panthers were sort of pretty quiet at that point. And, I was just thinking to myself how good it would be to be Kevy saying, like, how bad it's been. We're 2 points behind. Yeah. Fix a few things up. We got these guys.
Yeah.
And then imagine how they were after bang, 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 Ezra Mam tries. You know what I mean?
I guess that moves us on to the second half.
Yeah, I think the second half is where it's at, bro.
Because what I was saying to the people I was watching it with, it felt like a nothing game, but it felt like it was going to be open just because, like, the first few bit of contacts, they weren't hard hits. They were just felt like a normal game. It was flowing, but they were tiring each other out. So this second half was always going to come. And then when Ezra Mam scored them 3 tries, I thought he was pretty much shoo-in for the Clive Churchill.
Yeah, it was kind of like we were in a dream at that time, more of a nightmare. It was crazy. I mean, we'll put him over here. He can sit with Nath. So yeah, I mean the first one I think it was 4 minutes into the game, and who's he go past? Yeah, I think the first one we got. Slides through Lindsay Smith and Tago, burns Edwards for speed on the outside and scores a try. I was a bit worried about Tago after that find. I thought that's where I think our weakness might be, just 'cause he might not be 100%, and also his speed.
After that Olam try last week, it was always going to be somewhere where they target. And I think they aimed for in between him and the middle defender because he had a pec injury. I think like reaching out and tackling, that's probably where, like, front on, he's all right to tackle, but just that shoulder and that pec. Thought he was definitely a worrying link for the Penrith Panthers.
Noticed I think it was the first half, the Broncos centres swap sides for a little bit there, and I was wondering whether they were both sort of wanting to have a go at Tago, whether that's what it was, whether they were both trying to have their moment and sort of so you could expose him the most, or what. I don't know what that was about. I think they did it once in the year as well.
It was like 5-10 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a short period, but yeah, it was definitely a tactical thing.
I wonder what that was. Maybe, do you have down there when it happened?
Oh, I don't.
It was
from
just
memory,
before
I think
the
it was
half-time, was it?
Oh, it was probably about 15 minutes.
You know, probably what it was. It probably comes down to how the whole game plan was, and it was tiring each other out. I think Herbie just probably gassed himself. Herbie and Arthurs gassed themselves, so they were just swapping him over so Starks can go all in.
I thought it was an attacking play. Oh, but either way, it could be. Yeah, one of them could be a bit. Yeah, but yeah, well, I thought it was interesting they did that.
And it kind of worked because that side opened up 3 times within 20 minutes.
That was the other half, though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's all about tiring out your opponent as well.
Yeah, of course. So then I guess we'll move on to, I guess that's 12-8. So after that try, Luai comes off not too long after for Cogger. Ezra slices between Yo and Cleary. Cleary dives and slides off Ezra. Ezra busts through for his second try. At that point, I'm like, oh no, this is too much. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're done.
at that point, does that feel like the nail in the coffin, or is that like, okay, now they're in front?
I felt like the first one was a wake up call, and I didn't like that we were behind, and then that one just going in the same way that they sort of did, the same sort of area. I was like, this isn't good. And in my mind, going into the game, I was very, very pessimistic. I guess, I don't know if that's the right word, but I wasn't feeling good about it. I was like, I know we're a gun side, but we've been there and done that, and I believe that will help us, but this Broncos side are so electric, you know what I mean? And the attack is there, and I thought there are a few little weaknesses there, but yeah.
I thought exactly the same thing. I was very worried about Brisbane winning.
When I saw it happening, I'm like, I think we're done.
Yeah, I think Penrith needed to hold the lead. Oh, well, they didn't need to, obviously, but it was very worrying at that point. And then the third try comes in.
Yeah, so that's Walsh cuts past Cleary with a left foot step. Line break, fends Tago, links up with Ezra for his third straight try. Broncos 28-4. It's a 56-minute mark. At that point, may I say, the Broncos, every time they score a try, I didn't know this because I've never been to a Broncos game and I can't hear it from a crowd when I watch it. But they have this, yo-we-yo, 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 yo-we-yo. They'll get up and do a dance.
Oh.
And I must say, I don't enjoy that when that's happening at the time.
Yeah.
And the third time, at that time, I was like sunk so far low into my chair, and I was, just sad and heartbroken because it meant so much, to win the 3 I wanted this team to be known as the greatest team. And
the
then
modern
that was
era.
over. It was I'd given in. I was getting messages going, "You're done. You're done. We're done." All these people, and I'm like, "It's not over yet." But myself was like, "We're done."
You were like, yeah.
But I was telling everyone I was shut.
When that happened, I blamed you because
I went to the grand final.
You knew that you potentially were going to be a curse because you went to 2020 and they lost. But that Reece Walsh break reminded me so much of the 2020 break that Pappy had. It was exactly the same spot on the field. And at that point, I was like, okay, that was the moment in the Melbourne Grand Final where I'm like, okay, they've won this. Exactly the same moment happened against the Broncos. And I think it's just a perfect reflection of growth within the side. So you said Luai come off, Yo comes off, Sorensen and Tago all come off.
Yeah, so Yo, HIA 57th minute, straight after that try. Broncos get a penalty on the halfway mark. Panthers challenge the strip from Cogger and they lose. So a bit of panic there. And I'm sort of thinking, with this time to go, I'm like, it can be. Like, you can score 3 tries in this time, but just with the amount of onslaught, the crowd, it felt like we were at Suncorp.
Yeah.
It was so loud. And it just felt like the unachievable task. And then not too long after, Cleary makes a line break, takes it on himself. I didn't think Cleary had it in him to single-handedly do. I'm like, we don't have the pizzazz. This is where we need, as much as I love Edwards this is where we need like a Trell or a Turbo, like one of those individuals that can just. I didn't think, as great as Cleary is, being a playmaker, I didn't know that he could single-handedly do it in this time. But anyway. He line breaks. He links up with Spenny. Not Spenny.
Moses Leota
of all people. Yeah, Jesus. And he's just running through. And it's good.
And I think at that point, it was
belief.
Not by many. Like, it kind of felt like a little bit of a consolation try. Still need a lot to get back in this. Like, a try in a grand final is hard to come by.
Yep.
And they needed a lot to do it.
But just the tries with the time, the fact that it happened pretty much then, like if we had to
wait a bit.
Looking at the time, like 2 now in this time is not.
If you had to defend a few sets, but I was watching this clip the other day where Brandon Smith made a very good point. Yo coming off, Luai coming off, and the other 2 you can kind of get away with. But with them 2 coming off, Broncos have done their homework on Yo being the first receiver, Luai being the receiving after Cleary. Cleary had to be that first receiver, and that they were not expecting. And he could play with how he saw it. Like, Cleary kind of waits for the ball after Yo like draws in the line and runs, but he was the guy that was doing it, and they were not ready for that.
Yeah, it was a little bit of something different.
I think the next play is the play that makes me think Cleary is so much more like Joey than everybody thought he was going to be. The 40-20.
Yeah, it was a big moment.
How was the crowd then?
Oh, it was pretty loud, but nowhere near as loud as what, the Broncos had been. We're still like trying to out loud them, but I was surrounded by Broncos, so it felt like I was drowned out, which wasn't fun, but yeah, it was at that point it was just like, we've got the roll on, things are happening. Look, you're just doing things, keep doing things. And then where we're at, Yoda gets chopped in half by Hetherington on the line. I thought he was going to score there, like it was the last play. Massive play by Hetherington to stop that.
Oh yeah, big tackle.
Panthers need 2 tries with 14 minutes left to go. Then we go on to Carrigan, knocks on, sort of on the halfway mark. Penrith go on the attack. Cleary draws in some defenders. Goes to the line and then passes to Crichton. And then he's just palms off Staggs. Carries, I think it's 2 or 3 other people with him to the line, does a little twist thing and finds the line. I was so confident he was going to score when he was like, I was like, this is why I love him as a bit of a hog and trust himself. Like, he knows he can do these sorts of things.
Penrith, over the last few years, have lost Matt Burton, Viliami Kikau, Api Coruscant, and a lot of different players in between, like all their reserve
Taylor May
grade,
on the left as well.
like Sean O'Sullivan, Isaiah Katoa. Just a lot of their nursery is gone. They've continued to pump out talent, but do you think Stephen Crichton being on the move next year, do you think that's going to be a bigger loss than all these players? Because I really feel like he's been the one who has stepped up to these moments in the grand final.
I think he's a really great attacking piece that I'd love to be able to keep. But I think the biggest loss for us will always be Appy, that spine. Remember there, Mitch Kenny's done a great job all year, but just what he can do, I think is probably going to be our biggest loss. It does suck losing him. Alamoti's going to be, I think we can do a lot with him. He's going to be a bit of a different style of player, but
I don't think he earns his position straight away in the side. I think Taylor May comes in and plays centre. He's already put his hand up to play centre. I like Taylor May on the wing. I think he finishes well. He's got good yardage, but can you move Taruva? Can you play Taruva at centre?
I couldn't. Too little for me to put at centre.
Yeah, I think he's good on the wing, and he's been really good this year. So I like Taylor May back in the side. I don't think Alamotti...
Yeah, he might have to bide his time a little bit, but I reckon he'll find his way in.
Have a look at Garner. Garner Hosking. They've kind of had to make their way up in the pecking order. Even Sorensen, like, he's only earned that starting spot this year. Cleary's going to make him work for it, and there will be a time where it's his time.
Yeah.
And I think Penrith will capitalise and kind of not throw him in the deep end like the Bulldogs have. But yeah, I think Stephen Crichton's going to be a massive loss. I'm a bit sad now that he's leaving Penrith because I love that try-scoring record in grand finals.
It breaks up the boys as well, like just the To'o, Luai.
Yeah, out of all the ones, this one hurts the most for that sort of crew. But, so Crichton scores. Cleary kicks the goal.
Yeah, good times.
Clutch.
And what are we at now? So we've got 11 minutes left. It's 24-20.
Mm-hmm.
Walsh cuts across defenders. Sort of near the halfway line. I'm like, here we go. No. And who was it? It was diffused at the back by... we just diffused the set and go back on the charge. Then Cleary and Crichton and Taruva tackle Walsh in goal. Do you remember that? Cleary kicks that goal and then the other two boys tackle him in goal. That was a bit of a big moment. There was the knees in the back, which was unintentional. I don't think it was a thing. But yeah, he copped a bit of a beating Walshy throughout the game.
Walsh could have stayed down though, but he tried to get back up just a little bit. And that's when they got him back. Like, really, if he stayed down, they could have... The penalty nearly could have gone to the Broncos and the momentum could have gone the other way. But momentum's with Penrith at this point.
Yeah.
And who steps up?
Well, there's the... this is the big moment too. I think this is a huge moment. When A-Ray's dropout from here, Cleary catches the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm sitting... It looked like he was about 10 metres away from the touchline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like that. But because he was running so fast, and then by the time he got there, just went, boom. And that's a huge moment.
That's a tough catch.
Yeah.
It's a tough catch.
He did it the week before too, so... And then, I think that was a massive, massive play. 8 minutes to go. We go on the attack. Crichton kicks earning Broncos dropout. Yeah, okay.
So he did that a couple of times. They had 4 dropouts.
A few of them didn't come off, but he...
2 of them were Crichton.
Yeah.
One was Tago, and another was, I think it was Luai. Oh, it was Kenny.
Yeah.
So none of their halves did it, but Crichton's big moments, like underrated.
Yeah, he's good just in those, and they were such good kicks. So a few of them that just got stopped or just caught by like Cobbo on the full. I guess then here's the big moment. Panthers
24. Broncos are leading 24-20. Panthers on the attack. Mitch Kenny fakes to go right, just a little bit, and then goes left. What happens next?
And Cleary sort of goes his typical little show to the left, steps inside, goes inside A-Ray, cuts inside him.
How
No?
big was that hole?
Oh, yeah, all the boys just sort of palmed up. It was like the Red Sea or whatever, opening up for Moses.
And you could see they just stayed on the ground after that. Like, they were devastated.
He cuts through about 3 or 4. I think it was like Ricky, A-Ray.
And this what comes down to at the start of the game, just tiring these players out and just keeping the ball in play, because if they have the gas to defend, one defender, so Kenny kind of fakes to go right, that marker goes that way. It's 5-on-3 still. Shouldn't have happened, but because they're so fatigued, he goes straight through.
So, like, where's his try coming from? Where's it coming from?
Yeah.
I just love that he was just like, see it, bang, does it. In that moment, it was the absolute best feeling. Like, then it was loud. Then the Panthers went, we knew it was like, the timing was just pretty much impossible for him. It was pretty much sealed up by that point. And I was just thinking, imagine how good it would be to be like, you just have to look at Cleary in those still images when he's just sort of like, how good would he feel in that moment, realising what he's done, freeze that moment, bottle it, and sell it on the street. You get a lot of money for it, you know what I mean?
Better than drugs.
Yeah, I'd be selling it on corners for sure. I reckon I'd be retiring by the end of this afternoon.
That's the moment that every kind of NRL player strives for. Like, I remember JT's kick in the 2015 grand final from the corner. Like, if he kicked that from the corner, that's the feeling he would have had. Granted, he kicked a field goal, but I still feel like there was a bit of shine off it just because he did have that chance to nail it the first time.
I reckon it would have been it would have been like a nice extra relief though, like, because you thought you've cost yourself that opportunity. So I think it still would have felt as good.
For sure, but like Cleary and Penrith coming back from the way they are, what a comeback!
Because you know what, this could have gone a lot of it would have been a lot of different chat. Cleary missed 2 massive tackles in that game, like just getting burnt for speed or just but he was he would have blamed himself, for those
sure.
moments, and people would have been very critical, and
for sure
these things would have got pulled up. So that at that point, I think it was like when they'd gone down by 3 tries, they'd burnt him in one of those on the 3rd try, maybe even the 2nd one as well. I'm thinking, what's he thinking? What's going through his head right now?
So different from the 2020 grand final when just kind of put his head down. Like, he was involved in a couple of tries for the comeback, but he was razor sharp focus. Like, he was ready.
You got to feel for the Broncos because they would have been so sure they had it.
I think they have themselves to blame. Like, no other team could have done. Other team could have done what they did, but the errors they made, they just killed themselves.
I think those errors kind of had to be made. Like, they had to play expensive footy. They had to throw the ball around.
But a lot of errors, like dropping the ball in their own 20.
Maybe not as much in your own end, but a lot of that's where we can be broken. Like, offloads kill the Panthers. Like, where we don't respond.
Shifting early.
And, like, the halfway line, that's where Walshy's at his best. And
all right, so after the game, or after that, what are the scenes like after? Live at the stadium, Cleary gets Churchill. Any surprise?
Yeah, no surprise in that moment. No, it was pretty...
I like that because the 2021 grand final, his kicking game absolutely dominated the Rabbitohs, but no one can argue this one.
It was constant. It was just constant yelling, as loud as you could yell. The things that make you happy. Whatever. Yes, the Panthers. Come on, the Panthers. I love you. Whatever. Everyone was just yelling things, cuddling each other. It was people you didn't know. It was amazing.
Were there kick-ons after?
There was massive kick-ons in Penrith. Not for the boys I was with. We'd started quite early in the day, and after a long Uber ride home and going quite hard, I might say, we decided we'd pull stumps and do the smart thing.
I heard you're a really good joke teller, kind of like one of the good joke tellers of our time.
Why is that?
Valentine Holmes, he's good at telling
No.
jokes. No? We're cutting that out.
Yeah.
So, massive kick-ons in Penrith. I really wanted to go, but That they were there at 2 a.m. man, and I think they were not letting people in after a certain point.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah, it was like lockdown and
but
stuff.
Mulgole Road was massive. You see John Bernard, he went out to
Yeah.
Mulgole Road. What a legend. So I've got some questions post-game to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the greatest grand final you've ever seen?
Yeah, for sure, man.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because, it's my team and it was a
Yeah.
three-peat, you know what I mean? But apart from that, yeah, because it was so competitive. I really didn't know who was going to win going into it. I think a lot of people were. I think Broncos fans were really confident as well. They were, just in chatting to them before the game and stuff. And
Yeah. And rightly so. They had the style of footy that could have beat.
if they're going to be an elite team, I reckon it could be Penrith and Broncos, the top two, and it'll be almost a gap between them for the
kind of
next
like Melbourne and Penrith
bit.
the last few years.
Yeah.
I do think losing Herbie, Flegler, and Palacia is a bit worrying for them, but
I think they'll make
maybe
up
they've
for it.
created a system where Fish Harris and Leota, they're always there.
Mm.
You just play forwards around them. They're all good.
I reckon they'll be right.
You've got the halfback. As long as they can replace Reynolds, even Billy Walters, if he stays there, I think he's a great hooker. Thought he would play more minutes on the weekend, but the 2015 grand final was the best grand final I've seen.
Yeah.
And I think that just comes down to the ending. I think the ending was great. The game wasn't great. This game, I was hooked the whole time. I was engaged, and there was every single play mattered, and it had a result on the game.
Yeah, I remember with that drop ball, I feel like the thing that was different about that one, they kind of made, with Ben Hunt having to drop that in, it's kind of a sad moment, a shit moment for that. It was like the Panthers didn't have to have them completely stuff up a big moment like that where there was one person to single-handedly be their sad guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess with the Brisbane Broncos then, I thought Brisbane were the better team in 2015, but it did come down to the ending moment, whereas Brisbane, they didn't play their best. They played pretty good, but they can still compete with Penrith in the future. Penrith didn't play their best either, but I loved it. Cleary, there's a lot of immortal chat.
Oh, bring it on.
Bring it on.
Yeah, keep talking it.
Play on.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I agree. 3 grand finals in a row. Hasn't been done since 1981 with Parramatta Eels.
Be happy if they announce it tomorrow. Be happy if they build a statue outside of a core tomorrow, outside Penrith Stadium, outside the Caxton, outside, everywhere, man. Put it everywhere. I also wouldn't be surprised if, news broke that Nathan Cleary had announced that he was the Messiah, he was the second coming, I'm back. You know what I mean? I'm actually Jesus. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I've seen people push back on the chat with a mortal chat with him, and someone tried.
People want him to do.
No,
do it in Origin.
Someone said to me, if he retired tomorrow, he wouldn't be an immortal. But
he won't be retiring tomorrow.
If he had a season career-ending injury tomorrow, I think that makes him more of an immortal because of the stats he built up in such a short period of time, being so young. That's not going to happen, and I think the fact that people are saying he has to dominate Origin first to become an immortal, I think that's ridiculous. Are you ruling out?
That means any Kiwi can't ever become an immortal. You know,
exactly.
I think that's a bit of a ridiculous chat as well.
And
to be fair, if he's got that opportunity and he hasn't played well the whole time, it's not like he's been terrible.
No,
and he will have those moments. He's young. His best footy's ahead of him. Watch out.
He's had a few man of the match performances already in Origin. He's gonna get there. And he's already dominated a World Cup. He's been part of a World Cup team.
Yeah.
Dally M medal, I don't necessarily think he needs to get one
he will
because
get one of them
he will get. But he's been up there every year. Every single year's been up there. The reason I don't think he needs to get one is because look at how Penrith have approached every season. They just want to win that last game.
Yeah,
and that's all it's all about. And the fact that he's the best player 2 out of the 3 times they've won, I think that's more important than getting a Dally M medal. Because look at the last Dally M medals. Ponga, bowed out in the second week of the finals. Nico Hines went out in straight sets in the finals. You should get rewarded for consistency during the year, but at the same time, the end goal is to win the comp. And I think an
Three
Immortal should
in a row, 4 grand finals in a row.
And I think an Immortal should be judged on getting their team there. And that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, it's okay for us to have the chat and say, look, it looks like he might be. People can get upset and say, you can't say he's won yet.
He's on the trajectory. He can't get it now. He's still playing.
Yeah.
Like, he can build up this... Dare I say, he probably could get awarded it while he's still playing. But opens up another can of worms. I think the Immortal system, the last time they inducted like 7 players, ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's like... okay, so... Top 5 moments from the grand final, 1 to 5. I'll start off. Number 5, the Leota try that Cleary sets up. I think that was a big moment in the game, and that's my number 5 for top moments in the grand final. Number 4, Stephen Crichton's try. He just did it all himself. Cleary gave him early ball, and he backed himself, and he did it. Number 3, Cleary's 40-20. Which was off the back of points. They needed to keep the momentum going, and he put up a clutch play, which reminded me of Joey in 2004, 2005 Origin series, where he just had the ball on a string, knew exactly what he's doing. Number 2, you can't go past Ezra Mem's hat-trick. I think the greatest half of footy by any player in a grand final until this bloke came along. Nathan Cleary's try to finish the game has to be number 1. Chills down my back. Timmy, what are your top 5 moments?
Yeah, those are good things. Look, I really want to say about Ezra too, before I jump into mine. I think we need to have a real good look at him for Supercoach next year.
Oh, yeah. You know he scored 18 tries this year?
I didn't know that, but thank you for that fact.
I didn't know that till yesterday. How underappreciated was that? Like... When he got 5'8" the year, I was like, I thought it was a bit of a wasteland this year, but it's so obvious. It's so obvious now that you look at the stats. 18 tries. I think he scored like 14 tries in the regular season. The next best was Cody Walker at 9 tries. And Ezra's still setting them up as well. So, yeah, serious option for Supercoach.
Yeah, so look, I hadn't prepared my top 5 moments, but look, if I was going to say top 5 moments, I think... I was going to single the tries out. So I was going to say Ezra's. I'll just package them all in number 3 as well. So top 5 for me. I'll go. I don't have a top 5. It's hard for me to try order the moments.
That's okay. With the Mam hat trick though, I think the second try was probably the most important. Like the first one, he got through, laps into defense by the Penrith Panthers, but the second one, the game's still in the balance. And he does it again. The fact that someone like him at such a age can do repeat efforts like that and come up with big plays, that's just amazing. And then the third time, I think Walsh went through for that one and he was just backing up. The fact that he was there is great, but I think the second try, if I had to give him one try, it was that one.
Let's touch on the Ezra rather than my top 5 because he was ridiculous. And, 3 tries in an NRL game is big. And even from for a 5'8", if it was a winger, yeah, okay. But this is a 5'8".
Busting through the middle.
Yeah. The thing is, if he was, if the Broncos would have won, it's going to be he would be remembered a lot differently as well. It would be really, really etched in history. Whereas it'll still be remembered, but if the Broncos, I just feel for him because it would have been such a different... He obviously would have got the Clive Churchill. Yeah, and just the scenes, to be able to go and enjoy that and go back to the Caco, and I'm sure he probably would have been lifted up on a chair all night and they probably wouldn't have put him down. Yeah. So you gotta feel for him.
Yeah, unlucky. Yeah. He was just a victim of Penrith's great side and Nathan Cleary. Okay. And then last thing I wanted to touch on was the rogue stuff outside it. So Luai's Instagram, did you see it?
No, so I haven't been on the socials much. I don't have Instagram. And
so I don't know if you know, after Origin, he posted this thing saying, "Shut up, you got to go to work tomorrow."
I know that one, yeah.
He did. He uploaded a photo of him and Taruva looking at the camera pointing, and it said, "Ha ha ha, guess who's got to go to work tomorrow?" And you're looking at the photo of them pointing at you. I just thought that was funny. Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not taking
Well,
it.
everyone has labelled him as the villain. I don't think he's made himself to be the villain that a little bit of the standovers and stuff in Origin,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, relax. I mean, and a guy that's so like at that much elite a level, he could be such like there could. I don't think we've got. I think all the guys are pretty humble. Even the ones that are loud, like you could be a massive loud jerk off. Like you could be like the boxer chatties, blah blah blah, really loud. You could be like, Jake Paul, sort of at his younger age, sort of really obnoxious. Like he's not.
Yeah.
By the way, the bloke gave his grand final ring away to the kid who survived the helicopter.
No way.
He gave it to him.
Bro.
I would never do that. That is so sentimental that I just couldn't do it. But he's got a big heart, man, and people don't know the real him. He's just got swag. He wasn't brought up the same as what everyone else was brought up.
All of us in the bloody city
and
area.
yet he's a great parent. He's a great,
good role
you see him
model
with his
good
kids.
role model. I see him all the time at Penrith Westfields, just with his kids all the
And
time.
he's just playing the villain, man. He's having fun with it, and
He's not that guy. Like, I've heard Cleary talk about him, that he's not what he perceives. Everyone says he is. Like, he's just
one
having a
time he
laugh.
came up to my sister when she was working. He was like sort of there with a couple of other players. She was crying, and I think she was having a fight with a boyfriend or something like that at the time. But she had been, he saw her crying, went up to her and said, don't cry, you're beautiful. And he was with his girlfriend at the time when he said it. So it wasn't like he was hitting on her. He came over and said, hey, don't be crying. I don't know whatever it is, but you're beautiful. And that cheered her up. You know what I mean? So
Nice.
just a little one, yeah.
And here's another, just the one last thing that was a bit rogue.
Yeah, what happened?
A photo come out of their celebrations in the shed.
Involving Bilbo Baggins or something like that?
No, the weak gutted dog.
What?
With his willy out.
I saw a post where they said, typical Panther supporter and him with his shirt off. And I just thought, why are they bagging on him with his shirt? I didn't see the willy. Okay, so now that makes sense. And then the Panthers are like, well, at least he's going to the Dogs. Okay, yeah, that's a bit awkward.
It was funny. He didn't prepare for the photo.
He didn't prepare for it.
But I just love that stuff when it comes out.
You can't
so
argue
funny.
it was cold either. Is that what you're getting to? Because it was like 36 degrees or something. Is that what you're trying to allude to? When you didn't prepare for the photo?
a little bit. You usually see these footy players come out and they've got the biggest piece you've ever seen. Salmon kind of brings us normal blokes.
Got a silly salmon.
Silly salmon. All right. Anything else to add?
No, I just wanted to commiserations to the Broncos fans, commiserations to the Broncos players, and congratulations to the mighty bloody Panthers. How good.
Awesome, guys. We've been going for a little bit, and this is a one-off NRL review.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was fun. It was fun. I don't know if I could do it for all 8 games. Because we just talked about one game then, and it's gone for nearly 50.
It was the grand final.
It was a grand final.
And, Jesus, hot in here. We're struggling here.
There's no aircon in here at the moment, and it's 35 degrees outside. Guys, the off-season podcast will still be going weekly, just Tuesday, Wednesday mornings. So
one coming out with Glenn you did today should be a good one.
That will be out next week. So the fact that we're doing this will log jam that. Yep. And I think that's a good thing because it allows me to make sure I can set up the right. Because last week, right, episode came out on like Thursday morning because I hadn't recorded a show for that week, and the people I had could only do Wednesday night, and it usually comes out Tuesday night. So I was a bit screwed up there, so I'm glad I've banked an episode.
All right, no worries. So you send you an invoice.
Rightos. Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you.